Hey everybody, welcome to A Little Bit Unhinged with Casey and Garrett. This is Casey.
Hey everyone.
And I'm Garrett. Hello. And this is the only podcast in the world that is 100% safe for people with celiacs. So congratulations and welcome. Why are you here? Well, you're here, first off, because we're awesome and you know us. That's number one. Number one is that you are required to listen to this because you know us. And you will be quizzed on it later. But also you're here because we thought it would be fun to get together as we are newly minted friends from fairly different backgrounds, from different places in the country. And we thought it would be fun and interesting to talk about the things that have kind of caused us to bond with our friends, the world around us, in what I think is a unique perspective that you may not get to hear.
Yeah.
And we're going to split episodes between gaming because that's the main thing that I think we jam on the most. But we also, talk about movies, go see movies. There'll probably be a Dune episode at some point.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because that's crazy, and I'm fully on Dune talk at this point. So eventually I'll work on my Trump Dune impression because everybody's got one, and I need to have one. And also music, like you've got some Taylor Swift you got to introduce me on. Mm-hmm. I'm learning slowly, taking small steps, and I probably have to get you on some bluegrass or something weird.
Yeah, because bluegrass is one that I do not know.
There you go. So this is going to quickly become a Taylor Swift and bluegrass podcast. So don't hang up. Don't hang up. But yeah, we're just going to have fun here, and we hope to get to a point where we can have a fun community because for the most part, we like people. And we want to take you on this ride with us, and it's going to be super fun. We're going to start this off, and we will probably start most episodes off with what I'm calling the top 5. The show mascot is here also. So you might hear him bebopping around.
Yeah, he's playing with one of his toys that grunts right now.
It's fine. It's fine. Nothing adds more personality than a grunting dog toy, huh? Well, I want to start with a top 5 of the moment. Now, one of the things that's frustrating about top 5s when you hear people do them is they always want the top 5s to feel like it's the top 5 of all time of their whole life. I'm too old for that. I can't remember the top 5 things I've had in a week to eat. So instead, I want to keep it more just the top 5 things that are very narrow off the top of your head. And I think I have a good one for you.
Okay. Shoot.
What is your top 5 rooms of the house that you would make if you had unlimited money? If you had unlimited space and unlimited money and you could build out 5 specific rooms, or less than 5, because this is a big ask, but your top list of like rooms in a house that you could just do whatever you wanted with, what would you do with them?
Well, the first one would be a screened-in porch, which I'm going to count as a room.
Yeah, 100%.
Or sunroom style, something, yeah. And make it as cozy and with as many plants as I possibly can.
Yes.
With lots of cushions and things so that I could just sit out there and read nonstop. So that's room number 1.
That's a good number 1. My number 1, I'll jump in before I think about it. My number 1, I've always wanted to get like a full-on electronic car simulator that like vibrates and moves and has the whole wing of screens all the way around. Oh, I would love to have like a full like F1 or like I watch people online that have like the dirt ones, like the rally cars, and they jump and their body shakes and they have a shifter. Oh man, I would have a sweet simulator room.
That would be cool.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I think expanding on that, I would change my video game room so that I could have a TV for each of my systems so I never have to switch and just make it massive.
Yes.
Like what you picture for a library that everybody else wants, I just want it to be all my video game stuff.
Yeah.
But then a library. Library would be my number 3.
Library is a good one too. Yes, I would also have a library. I am not a book guy, mostly only because I've crafted my entire life around what if I have to move. And so books are heavy.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I would love to have a bunch of books. Like I finally put a bookshelf up in my place more recently, and I like have books on it, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. But then I think about multiple bookshelves, and I'm like, I gotta get books for them. And then what if I have to move?
Yeah. And to be fair, I say that I want a library, but then I just read from my Kindle anyway.
Well,
I don't even need real books.
But I guess if you had an unlimited amount of money, it might be a little easier to have some books of versions you might read on your Kindle. Right. I also would have a video game room, though my attention span is so bad that if I had multiple TVs for multiple systems, they would all be on and none of them would ever get played. And we will discuss my video game playing habits, which you love. But that would be sent into overdrive if I had multiple. Like, I'm already bad enough that I'm on my computer all the time and have a game on all the time. If you give me like game, it might be trouble.
We should talk about your video game habits, though, because that's a good introduction to who you are.
I think that's fair. So my buddy Trey, whose dog is featured, and you guys will get to listen to this at some point. I'll probably maybe just post it on the Spotify page, but the theme song for our mascot and our mascot's pup cup. My friend Trey, he provided the dog as well as his voice and his girlfriend's voice for that song. And he asked me yesterday, hey, what games are you playing? And I was like, oh boy. Okay, here we go. Number 1, Balatro. If you haven't played Balatro and you like roguelites or you like poker, it's addictive and a great new idea, and it's fantastic, and I can't speak enough about it. Everybody should play it if you like poker. Single player poker game. It's brilliant. And then we get into the list of, I started playing Cyberpunk 2077 the other day. I realized I need to finish Red Dead Redemption and Baldur's Gate 3 and Final Fantasy 16. I've been playing a lot of NBA 2K and FC 2K lately as well. And then there's always a rotate, like Stardew Valley. Now that the big patch came out, I want to play more Stardew Valley because I only started it and I haven't gotten too far into it. It's nuts, and I can't focus on anything for too long. And I'm also, the big one that I'm playing that I am going to beat, because I've played it probably 3/4 of the way at this point, is Ocarina of Time, which I had not played before, but is I'm going to spoil it for everybody, your favorite game. Mm-hmm. And so I never played it, so it was time to play it. So I'm into it. I'm in on it. And we've got 2 main temples, and then whatever else comes after, because I don't know, left. So I've got that going at the same time, but my brain just can't hold on to things for too long, and so I'm playing something, I'm like, oh, what else haven't I played? So that's my game playing style. You're about to beat Super Mario RPG?
I am, yeah. So my play style is very different.
It's focused.
I play one game at a time.
Focused.
Well, that's not entirely true. So I do have a few games that I will play intermittently, but it's usually something like right now, on top of Super Mario RPG, I've been playing Kirby and the Forgotten Land off and on.
Yes.
If I just randomly have an hour, I'll go do a couple of the courses or whatever you call it in that game, and then quit for a while and then come back to it. Right. But it's usually I just have one of those and then my actual game.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I could do that. I can get into spurts where I can. Like, I was playing Final Fantasy 16 heavy for a while. And then my brain just went, enough of that. Time to do something else for a while. So, but I like it a lot in Final Fantasy 16, and I do want to focus and beat it. But my focus time when I need to focus goes to Ocarina of Time. And I really can only have one, like, legitimate focus game.
Yeah.
And so that's my focus game to play. But that is a good lead into the kind of games we like to play. Because I think that's a good baseline for everybody to understand. Because one of the things that I think we'd like to do is talk about new games that are coming out. And because it's so fun. Like, Like when the Death Stranding 2 trailer came out, it was like, oh, I cannot wait for us to talk about that.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Made me want to go back and replay it, which I'm going to do sometime this year before.
When is it coming out? Do you remember?
Sometime next year.
Sometime next year.
I think like April, maybe. May.
Yeah. So that's fun. And being able to share that, because that's still, at least, you know, my good friend group all still really enjoy trailers. Like more than they enjoy games at this point. I didn't enjoy games. You know, people are grown up. You only have enough time to do so much. But trailers are awesome. And the promise of trailers, like back when the big gaming expo that doesn't exist anymore, what was it, E3? Mm-hmm. E3. When E3 was happening, like the most exciting part was just like, this is trailers for everything that's going to come up for the next year. And so you just get to watch with anticipation of games that are almost never what it's going to be in the excitement level of it. So getting to talk about that, Death Stranding is a big one, but
they also, a lot of those games, they would preview it well before. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake. They made that promise to us.
Oh, man.
And then the next year, and the next year, and the next year. But now we're getting them.
And I've heard from the people on the street that they're enjoying it very much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's going to be next on my list.
As a loyal JRPG player, I need my combat to be as slow and painful as possible. So that's been a challenge for me. Final Fantasy 16, I've enjoyed it, but they have a lot of features to make things happen a little easier. And so I've turned a few of those on. Like you get a dog pet, and he gets attacks, and you can just make it so that he just does attacks. Just flip the button and he just does stuff. And I'm like, please, don't let me hit a switch. I got to worry about these 8 other button presses. But I do like the Dragon Quest style. You got your menu, you're picking your attack, your magic, your special attack, your items. Like I love a little bit of that. But everybody really loves the direction that they took the Final Fantasy Rebirth. And what's the second one?
Rebirth is the second.
Rebirth is the second. Remake is the first one. Rebirth is the second one. It's a great thing to bring back because everybody loves it so much.
Yeah, Remake was great. Rebirth is the next one that I'm playing.
Yeah. Have you started it yet?
No, I'm still on Super Mario RPG.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm sorry. We just established.
Got to finish one before the next one.
That's smart because that ensures that you finish one.
Or it's really says something about the game if I will not go back and finish it.
Right.
Which, not to say that I never do. There are games that they're just so long that I have to take a break from, like Persona 5, for example.
Sure.
I got through probably the second or third palace, and I said I need a break from everything that's happening right now, and I didn't go back to it for 6 months, but that's pretty rare for me.
Yeah, I get to that point quickly, and then it's just like, and then it just goes on a cycle. Like me and a group of friends, we played a lot of like GTA Online, and we did that for a while. And then hackers came in and they'd blow up the whole world, and it was stupid. So we took a break, and then we did Red Dead Redemption Online. We did that for a while, then took a break. And I've never played the single player GTA. And I've only played like the first 30 minutes of the single player Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption 2, that is. And every time I start it, one of the things that gets me in games, one of the reasons that I do that is when they give me a lot of options, I get frustrated that, like, I'll fish for 4 hours and then I'll be like, okay, I gotta stop. Like, I'm not progressing. And it's like, of course I'm not progressing. I fished for 3 hours because they'll get me. Every little side quest. Like, that's one of the things that got me about Final Fantasy 16. It's like, I'm trying to do as many side quests as I can do easily. And so at a certain point, I'm like, I've been playing this game for a long time.
Yeah. And fishing in most games can usually just be such a time sink because it's so fun.
It's fun. I do like fishing in a game. I didn't spend enough time fishing in Ocarina of Time. And I think I'll go back to it at some point.
It's a small pond.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. But I'm just like, all right, it's time to beat a temple. Let's go. Let's fight those stupid skeleton bastards that keep killing me. Let's do it.
I will always love being able to just point back to the story where I told you don't fall off and you just leapt straight to your death.
My brain just absolutely took that command as stop. Just full break. We just stopped and I just walked off into lava, which is fun. And at a certain point, we'll probably at one of these points when I start playing another of your favorite games, the people can watch me play too. Some point, but we haven't done that for Ocarina of Time because I'm bad at it and I'm just not ready for people to see that.
No, I think you think that you're bad at it, but when it comes to the actual puzzles, you're so intuitive. You figure out what you're supposed to do and you know how to do it. It's just anything that's not really a puzzle that you get confused on sometimes.
No, when I have to deal with regular mechanics, it's just like what's like I did most of the Shadow Temple. I did, and I used the shield a lot. And I hadn't used the shield very much the whole game, because I forget it's up there. And the worst part about it is, the button is above the button that you use to, like, quick save. And so I'm always hitting the quick save button when I want to block. And so I'm just like, don't block. It's just going to frustrate you. And so it's a mechanics thing. And I wasn't a big Nintendo 64 player. So the controller... The only things that I played on Nintendo 64 a lot of was wrestling games and monster truck games and Tony Hawk. And so the Nintendo 64 controller isn't as intuitive to me as I think it is to people that are more used to it. I think for you it's fairly intuitive. You have a pretty good grasp on it. I would like.
But I've also played through the game 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, you also own the game! ! Own. I'm hoping for. What are we doing next? Metroid?
Yeah, if you want to.
What is that? Is that GameCube?
Yeah, Metroid Prime was. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, GameCube controller also a little weird.
Yeah, out of all the Nintendo controllers, I would say that GameCube's probably my least favorite.
I'm actually...
Which is nothing against it, but...
No, they always tried to do unique controllers. I've never actually played any games on a GameCube.
Well, we could do that. I have one upstairs. Yeah. But I would recommend the Switch copy, Metroid Prime Remastered, because they have updated it, which is actually going back to Ocarina of Time. One of our upcoming episodes is... classic games in modern times, since you haven't played it before, and you can actually look back and say if you think the game still holds up, and we can look at other games and do something similar with, Metroid or any other shooters maybe. Going back to game styles, I don't do a lot of online multiplayer type gaming, period. I'm very much a single player person.
Yeah, I don't like it either. What other game types do you like?
Well, open worlds, bread and butter right there. Horizon Zero Dawn especially, and Forbidden West and all of those. Breath of the Wild.
Did you do Assassin's Creed?
No, I never did Assassin's Creed. There was a point in college where I just kind of skipped an entire generation of consoles and gaming because I was studying for college stuff, and I actually had friends who I would watch them play games while I was studying or pretending to study. And then after college, didn't really play anything for a while, mostly because I had my Wii in college and I played Twilight Princess and I played Skyward Sword. I'm very much a Zelda girl.
Sure, yes.
But they didn't have another Zelda that was coming out until the Switch.
Right.
So that entire span, I did not play games until I found out new Zelda coming out on Switch.
Right.
And that's when I got it. And then I moved to Texas for work for a little while, and out of boredom there, I bought a PlayStation 4 and I bought Horizon, and then that is what's led me back to gaming.
Nice. When I was in college, it was Nintendo 64. That was the newest Nintendo system still.
Man.
I know. So we watched Beavis and Butthead, and we played so much Mario Kart.
I do love some Mario Kart.
Man, Nintendo 64 Mario Kart was like the SNES Mario Kart was great for its time, but Nintendo 64 Mario Kart was the one. It was the guy.
It really was. So good.
It was so good. We played a lot of that. And we watched so much Beavis and Butthead. That feels like the most college thing in the world. Like we would come in, so I went to Southern Utah only for a year. And then I realized that there's a lot of Mormons in Southern Utah. And like all of my roommate and a couple of my friends went on their mission while I was there. And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. But while I was there, we had in the dorms, we had this just middle foyer area that had like the main TV and like a couple of couches. And it was literally every night someone had Beavis and Butthead out there and was watching. And so just a bunch of us would come in and out and watch an episode of Beavis and Butthead and then leave. And then there's like 2 people on the floor that had a Nintendo 64. So we'd always bang on their door until like 1 a.m. and have them bring it out so we could play it.
I'm sure they loved that.
I'm sure they did too. But they also were the best at it. So when they were really frustrated, they'd just come out and whip our asses at it. And then we'd be like, okay, take it back, you jerk. So yeah, Nintendo 64. Like I was a Genesis kid mostly. Like when it was time to buy a system, my parents were like, you can have one. And I picked the Genesis, I think because Madden was better on the Genesis. Like Madden 98 or 96 or 95. Maybe Madden 95 was better on the Genesis. And so that's the only reason I picked the Genesis, and I was a Sonic player, so I love Sonic. Like I'm a big platformer fan, still to this day, like Sonic and Metroidvanias, like, Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night, and like Castlevania 2 is one of my favorite games, even though it's another one that if I tried to play it now, I think I played it for a 24-hour, but it's been so long. It was very story-driven. Like, the mechanics weren't as great. Like, the combat and everything wasn't as great as the actual process of playing it was, but I loved the story so much that I could accept it. So, platformers still to this day, I will play a good pixel. Like, anybody that makes a good throwback pixel platformer, I will still play the heck out of. Now you like a game that I never played that I'm gonna have to play. That's Wave Race 64.
Yes.
Tell me about this game.
I don't even know what to say at this point anymore. It is one of the best racing games that's ever been made. You're on your jet skis.
That's right, it's a jet ski game.
Yeah. And because you're on jet skis, they did design it so that there's not a lot of traction. You do have to learn how to figure out your turns and everything. And yeah.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah, I don't know why I missed it, because even when I just got out of high school, I was working in a computer lab on the military base, and the main system then was the Nintendo 64 as well. And so we had little booths that the kids, could rent a game and then play it. And for whatever reason, that, like, obviously Mario Kart was popular. I think I told you this. The Monster Truck games, like, if you didn't grow up, if you're not old like me, and Casey is not old like me, I just want to establish that. If you're old like me.
I'm only 22.
I'm only 3.5 years old. Casey didn't really get to experience this firsthand. But if you're old like me, you experienced the Monster Truck, the nadir of Monster Truck. Is that right? Is nadir the height or is nadir the bottom?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I have a friend on Facebook that's like, I hate listening to podcasts and people use the wrong words. This is going to happen, people. I'm bad at words. But anyway, it was the peak. Let's go with peak. Peak is a good word. It was the peak of Monster Truck time when, like, Monster Truck was on television getting huge ratings, and there's Monster Truck events, and everybody wanted to Monster Truck. And so the Monster Truck games were huge. That sound might have to stay in because that was delightful.
The click-clacking.
The tiptoeing dog sound was awesome. So monster truck games were huge. Like the kids, and it usually was a teen center, so it would be kids from like 12 to 17 or 18 would show up, and the kids loved them. There's monster truck games where you like everybody would drive at each other, and you have to knock them off of the like the pillar in the middle, and there was races, and there was everything. Monster Truck's huge. Tony Hawk was huge, which I also am a huge skate game fan. Like when the Skate series came out, I still play the heck out of that. Tony Hawk, I can't play them as much now because they give me motion sickness, which is a problem I have with so many games now. It's the worst. Like I can't sit down and play Halo anymore for very long. I force myself to sometimes because Halo is so great, but I can't do it much anymore. But I like extreme sports games, which again is why I'm disappointed I never did Wave Race.
Yeah, Wave Race was great. It was a lot of fun. I also had a NASCAR game that I played, but I played it different from a racing game where I went the opposite way. And depending on how I felt that day, I would either intentionally crash and see how bad I could make it, or see how many laps I could go going the other way.
Nice. Yes. I think it's a formative growing up experience to drive a NASCAR game the wrong way.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's like a universal, like if I made a TikTok about that, it would be popular.
But also, why does everybody have a NASCAR game? I didn't buy it. My parents did.
I played a lot of NASCAR games.
Did you want them? Did you?
I didn't ask for them.
How did you get them?
I just got them.
See, they just arrive, right?
You just get a house and you get a NASCAR game.
Yeah.
My father, we would sit down and we would watch NASCAR, and we did that until Dale Earnhardt died.
That's kind of the same at...
Yeah.
My parents still watch NASCAR, I think, but...
I think my dad will turn it on sometimes still. My dad is in the dad age where he'll have a sport on and be asleep on the couch, like just 100% of the time. If it's a Saturday or it's a Sunday, a sport will be on the TV and he will be asleep. Golf, tennis.
That's my dad, but he's more selective about his sports. NASCAR, football. I think he watches baseball sometimes too, but for the most part, he's going to be asleep.
Yeah.
And especially with NASCAR, he'll just sleep until a wreck happens. And then everything's making noise, and he's like, time to get up. Let's see what happened.
This is the important part.
Let's see this replay.
Yeah. I don't know how much racing stuff my dad watched. Even though I did not watch Drive to Survive, which is a reason a lot of people got into F1. I just got into F1 because of the tech aspect. Like their coverage of F1 in general is great. Like they show the behind the scenes, and they show the they talk about all the technology, and they interview the race drivers, and they have all the different camera views, and so the technology of it is super neat. So I've gotten into it, but the NASCAR is long. It's just long.
It is very long.
It's a long day. Maybe I'd feel different if I was drinking at a NASCAR event.
I don't think you would.
I don't think I would either.
Which I will say there are other racing that is more fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know, like F1 and some of the more indie car stuff. It's more enjoyable because the courses are more elaborate.
Yeah.
Even though they're still pretty simple.
You can't do too much when you're trying to shoot cars at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah. Ain't no Mario Kart.
No, it's not. It's not Mario Kart. If they could figure out a way to do real life Mario Kart, I think like if they could do a serious real life Mario Kart, even if it wasn't serious but it was serious, like real sponsors and like a real like courses, and obviously you can't have like a blue shell really, but you could have some kind of trickeration, to just add some variety. I think people would watch that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think once we get real hologram technology, that's where we're going to go.
Should patent that.
Dang it.
Just go ahead and trademark it.
You know what? I'm going to draw it up on a napkin and call a guy. I also am very so I've saved this. I saved this for this podcast. Of the handful of important things about me you don't yet know, the most important thing about me that you don't yet know is that I love the Romance of the Three Kingdoms time period of China. It's one of my favorite things. I own books. I've probably read the whole thing through a couple of times. And so I also like almost every video game made about that period. A lot of them are like city management ones. Like you have the city and you have to make sure you get as much grain, and you got to make sure you have the, you have the security so that the people don't revolt, and you have arranged marriages, and you recruit warriors, and you try to take over the whole land. So I love those, just the pure Romance of the Three Kingdoms series. But they also have the Dynasty Warrior series where you just push X button and you slash 1,000 people. Like you just kill 1,000 people every level. So I played a crap load of those.
Never played those.
They are that's. I've been thinking, because you've been so kind to share with me the games that you like so that I can play, and I've been thinking about like what games should I share back. I don't think that I would trade off Romance of the Three Kingdoms, because you got to kind of love it to want to stick with it, because it's mostly just menu reading. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of menu reading and menu management. You have to be a real sicko to like it, like me. However, like Dynasty Warriors 3, because the story, like, if you guys don't know about Romance of the Three Kingdoms, it's the romanticized version of the story of that history. There's a non-romanticized version, which I can't remember the name of. But the romanticized version is like, Cao Cao saw a dragon and it told him he should take over this thing. And Guan Yu is supposed to be like 40 cubits high, like 8 foot tall, and his beard is 16 feet long, and his sword is heavier than a mountain. Like, it's craziness. And so the games really encapsulate the craziness of it. And then you just you just kill 100 soldiers, and then you move on to the next level and you fight people, and it's amazing. That one might go on the list of games that you should at least try, even if you don't get all the way through it, because again, you have to love the source material to stick with it. But I love those kind of games. Like Romance of the Three Kingdom series is one of my very favorite of the strategy genre, besides Civilization, which I've put 1 billion hours into over time. Because I'm old enough that the first Civilization was when I was like a junior in high school. Civilization 1 came out on the MS, on the PC, like on a 386 system, and so I played the crap out of that at like 17 years old. And now it's Civilization 6? It's only Civilization 6? How old am I? They didn't make them very quickly, apparently.
No, they don't.
No. So I love a good strategy game of really any type. I'll play 4X strategy, like space strategy. Like I like a good menu game.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I've also fallen asleep to a good menu game too. So that's my NASCAR. Menu games are my NASCAR.
So it goes.
So besides Wave Race, is there any other sports games that you like to play? And NASCAR backwards.
I know that there is, but now I can't think of one. I will say the first time I ever played one of the Tiger Woods games, somebody just handed me the controller and I got a hole-in-one. And I said, I've peaked. I'm done.
I'm done. We check it off the list.
Retired.
We've done it. Hallelujah. Nice. That's nice. All right. So we've established open worlds, Zelda games. We've established Wave Race, the tent pole of the racing game genre. What else? You said Kirby.
Yeah, still playing Kirby right now.
Kirby. Did you like the older 2D Kirbys?
Yeah, but I didn't play a lot of them. So that is something that's changed with my style over the years, is that when I was a kid, I sucked at games, so I didn't finish games very often. So a lot of them I played or started or whatever, but never saw the ending. And it wasn't until I was an adult playing PlayStation 4 and up that I've started to really finish games. So back in the day, if I finished it, it was because I really enjoyed it.
Right.
Ocarina of Time, Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts. How much Kingdom Hearts did you do? Have you done all of them?
Nope, just the first one.
What's the first one?
I started the second game, and this is going to be a hot take for a lot of people. Didn't like Roxas, didn't understand what was going on, and I just quit. But it was also right around the time that I started college.
Oh,
And that
sure.
was when I was just dropping off of playing games anyway.
So timing as well.
Yeah.
It gave you an excuse to be like, I don't need to.
Yeah, I think I played an hour or two and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Put it down and then never picked it back up. And I've got a handful of games like that from that time period that I've just never finished.
There's 5 Kingdom Hearts now?
I feel like there's more than
1
that.
and 2.5 and 2 and 3. Well, I guess those 2.5 and 3.5 is 2 and 3 remastered, maybe, or added stuff.
Yeah, they had like a middle story.
Yeah.
In Chain of Memories. I forget what that one counts as. 2.5 maybe. And
yeah. I love the idea of it a lot.
Yeah, it was great. I remember when it first came out as a rumor and people said, oh, Disney and Final Fantasy characters. And I said, there's no way that that's real.
Yeah, forget about it.
And then it was. Yeah. And I loved it. I loved the first one. And I really need to go back and at least play 2 and 3.
Yeah. I tried to do 1 because they just they released them on Xbox Game Pass so I could play them on my PC. And they give me terrible motion sickness. Like, it's one of the games that gives me the worst. Like, I play it for 10 minutes and I want to throw up motion sickness. So
I could see that.
No, I can't do it.
The way that he moves, it can be very disorienting.
Yeah, the way he moves and the background is quick and jerky. And I think that's the one thing that gets me the most. When it's like moves really quick and stops and then...
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, well, it's not for me. I can always watch a video, though. But it's so funny. I can watch somebody playing. Doesn't bother me. Only if I'm playing.
See, I would feel like it would be the opposite because you don't know where somebody else is playing is going to go. But
I know what I'm doing, but it doesn't get to me. I can watch people play anything. Doesn't give me motion sickness. But if I play, it gives me motion sickness.
Yeah, the only games that I've ever had any kind of motion sickness or vertigo from, and this is going to be weird, Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. And
well, yeah, you said that like the David Cage style games.
Yeah, they just mess with me for some reason, and I don't know why.
I'm sure they use a very specific perspective.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I think that when I first played Heavy Rain, it also had like a shaking effect
to it.
It did.
A lot of shaking effect.
And that messed with me, made me feel sick. Yeah. And then Beyond Two Souls was better, but it still had that same impact on me where I couldn't do it. And I didn't even try to play Detroit because of that.
Detroit, I probably played, I mean, this isn't going to surprise anybody at this point. I probably played like 2 hours of Detroit. I'm like, this is pretty interesting. And then I put it down. I haven't thought about it again.
You?
I know. But it was pretty interesting. I mean, the trick with those games that I think if you were like going to really critique them, which I'm not trying to really critique much of anything. I used to have a point in my life when I was going to really critique things, but I don't anymore. If I was really to critique them, sometimes they're pretty heavy-handed about what the story they're trying to tell. Like it's like especially Detroit is like very, very like 90s X-Men, which again, I love it to death. But 90s X-Men is like, look, there's this story, except for really good stories in the X-Men story, it's like, here's the story, this is an allegory to racism. Here it is. Like, these are very specific, like, this is the experience someone is having. We've turned it a little bit, but we haven't. It's the exact same experience, but instead of it being POC, and sometimes it still is, it's like a mutant. But it's the exact same thing. And like Professor X is MLK and Magneto is Malcolm X. And it's very, very on the nose. And Detroit is also very on the nose with that as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But there are people that are just like, I wish this was more nuanced. I get it. But I thought it was interesting. Like, I love games where you can make choices. And I don't need them to be brilliantly done. Like Mass Effect, one of my favorite games. Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. One of my favorite, and it's very simple. It's like light size option, gray option, dark side option. I love it. Just let me be the most terrible bad person ever. Let me be a very clearly good person. Like, some of the trouble I have with Baldur's Gate is sometimes it's not clear, which is okay. I don't mind that it's not clear. But sometimes I'm like, listen, I just want to do either the most good thing here or the most bad thing here. And one of the reasons I haven't progressed very far is when I think I'm doing either a very good thing or a very bad thing, it turns out maybe I didn't. And so it's just like, well, I wanted it to turn out a different way.
Yeah, well, it's set up to be more like life. You don't know. You can try really hard to do the best, but...
Yeah, but I want my games to not be like life, please.
Fair enough.
I'd like it to be easy for me to know what I'm doing, because I don't know what I'm doing any other time. So I'd like to know what I'm doing in a game. Did you ever play Fahrenheit 51? It had a different name. It had one name in Europe and one name here.
I know the novel. I don't know the game.
No, that's why I was like, I'm calling it the name of the novel. What was it called? I think it might give you that same Vertigo, because I think it's that kind of style. Fahrenheit game. I'm going to look it up on the internet. I know this is good. Oh, it's just called Fahrenheit. Indigo Prophecy. Indigo Prophecy is what its name was in the United States.
Oh, I have heard of that. I have not played it.
Okay. That might be an interesting one, because it's another Quantic game, which is what those other ones that we talked about, those other Star ones are Quantic. That might be interesting. You might, because did you what you could play of like Heavy Rain in those games? Did you like them?
Yeah, the game itself was fine.
Okay.
I just didn't feel great while I played it, so I just quit.
Yeah, stop. Well, that would be interesting, because if you like those, I think you might find those ones interesting if you can play them. But it may be the same problem there. And the reason that a lot of people that know this game know the European version, because the European version was uncensored, unlike the American version. So a lot of people played Fahrenheit instead of Indigo Prophecy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the main character, I believe, is a lesbian. And so when it's 2005 America, a lesbian made character in an unrated game is like top tier entertainment. That's like number one. That's a box office draw.
I can't imagine why.
You know, we really do like and hate our lesbians. What's up with that? This is not the episode to talk about that, so I'm going to table it. But one day we'll talk about our lesbians.
Can't wait for that one. It's going to be a great topic.
Listen, if you let me steer the boat, we're going to run into an iceberg here and there. This is the way this is going to work.
Yeah.
This part. All right. Well, okay. So did I miss anything? Did I miss anything about the games that you like? Is there any really standout games that you want people to know you liked?
Not that I can think of right now.
Right.
And we have plenty of
time.
episodes.
I was going to say, we'll have plenty of opportunities to come back to it. All right,
I'm sure that at some point we'll do a top 10 list or something.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll do I think we should plan for that, to get a good top 10 game list. But we'll need a little bit of time to plan for that, because when I have to actually think about my top 10 games.
Yeah. And we'll need to think about separating it out by genres and stuff too.
We probably should.
Like you mentioned platformers earlier, and I wanted to bring up A Hat in Time, and we haven't even talked about it.
A Hat in Time. We haven't talked about A Hat in Time. That one's amazing. Oh my god! And like Braid.
Yeah.
Like there's so many good. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. And then I had a fleeting thought of a game that we didn't talk about that I want to talk about, but now it's gone. So it'll come back to me at some point, because again, we'll have plenty of opportunities to do that. But what I appreciate is that we both really like games so much that there are still a bunch of those that we haven't even talked about yet.
Exactly.
Which is awesome. Like, we have not talked about NBA Jam at all yet.
No.
Can't believe it. I don't have anything to say about it, but we at some point it'll have to come up. Only because my greatest meeting a celebrity story is tied around NBA Jam.
Oh.
So we'll table that. We'll come back to that one. No, we won't. What am I doing? I'm just going to tell it. So when I was...
Well, no, we were going to end this.
No, you're right. Okay, you're right. Let me end it so I can change the batteries. That's the most important thing, is that the episodes will be lengthened around the time that my batteries will last. Okay, so that was the first episode. Eventually here, I will have email addresses that you can send us stuff if you want to send us stuff at the Little Bit Unhinged. Sometimes it's a little bit unchanged, but not now. A little bit unhinged, so that you can send us stuff if you want. That will be heavily moderated, so no dick pics. Yeah, we just, any ideas you have, anything you want to talk about? We're going to have special guests at some point. I'm very excited to force people we know to come do this with us.
Yes.
It'll be so much fun. And that's our first episode. We did it.
Whoop.
No, wrong button. Yeah.